5.
The BCM podcast. I am today's host, Brad Swail. To my top left there is Charles Blain. He's also behind me. My top right got Michael Searle. We have all of our Twitter handles in our bios there, or in our whatever. They're there if you're watching. I'm at Brad Swail. Charles is at CJ Blain 10, and Michael is at M Searle ATX. All of those will be down in the description as well. Of course, we'll do this at the beginning. Subscribe and share with friends, especially your mothers. Charles, Mrs. Blain is still our favorite fan. You have an opportunity. It's a tough battle, but you have an opportunity to have your mom be our biggest fan too. But Miss Blain
competition is on.
Miss Blain that's a tough cookie to beat. To all of our new subscribers from our Colonel McGregor conversation, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here. And had a really good time talking with him, and we're happy to have you. So, Do you guys have anything to say?
What did Mrs. Blain have to say about the McGregor episode?
She hasn't gotten to it yet. She's been a little busy, so it's in the lineup. It's in the lineup. I just
told all of our listeners that it's going to be a tough one to beat, and she hasn't listened to our latest episode.
She was busy. It was a very busy week. She has to catch up, so she's going to catch up and probably on both today. And so, yeah.
Well, at any rate,
if you hold a second, I can tell you what my mom said about McGregor.
Clearly his mom's winning because not only does she watch, but she gives feedback. So,
where is it? She said essentially, he's very certain about all of those things.
Thank you. I am.
Not you, Colonel McGregor. And my mom's like RFK all the way kind of person, and deep down the conspiracy hole. So I thought McGregor would be right in her wheelhouse. Her comments were a little surprising.
She was probably equally as surprised that he told Brad to run for office. That's probably what caught her off guard.
No one is surprised by that. Everyone thinks it's a good idea.
I've heard a lot of feedback saying otherwise, but
no, you haven't. You're so full of shit. All right. Sorry, Mrs. Blain, but Charles just lied, and I know you didn't raise a liar. It's not your fault. It's his own fault. It's him living in Houston. There's a lot of liars there. It's the worst place. And so it's just it's the people he surrounds himself with there. So what are we talking about today? Oh, hold on a second. I think the biggest news of the week, of course, is Nikki Haley dropped out, right?
That happened?
Huh?
I forgot.
Well, she dropped out. So can we play? I think y'all can hear this. Can we play some maybe like the national anthem or something like that for her, just to like send her out?
Let's do it. Is this the national anthem?
All right, we gotta put our hands.
That's terrible.
I love that you're taking such glory in this, because if you go back and listen to episode 12 of the BCM podcast,
shit, going deep.
We did our 2024 predictions, and somebody with a pink hat and not much happening between the ears predicted that Nikki Haley was going to be our next president.
I don't know. I don't know that I was like, not that she was. All right. I think there's still a chance if Trump has to drop out. That's what it was all premised on, is if all of this lawfare worked and Trump had to drop out. It wasn't premised on like she's a great candidate and I love her and she's doing a really great job.
Even if he did have to drop out at this point, do you think she would be the next? I mean, she's disbanded the campaign. It's probably a campaign in waiting, but I still think she'd have a challenge in getting a nomination.
Yeah, is she a lady? If it's a campaign in waiting,
that's not what I meant. No,
it could be.
Here's what we can't say: America wins. Nikki Haley is out of the presidential race, and Victoria Nuland has stepped down or is retiring from her position in the Defense Department.
She looks
America wins.
Fucking haggard.
Yeah.
Really bad. I can pull up the picture. But yeah, so she's out. But why did she get out, do you think?
Because the
Nikki?
Ukraine war is about to collapse. Oh, Nikki.
No, Victoria Newland.
Because the whole Ukraine thing, as Colonel McGregor said, it's over. It's been over. It's all about to fall apart.
Mhm.
And she doesn't want to be here to be responsible. Because she's been.
Look at that. Look at that. Ugh. She actually looked pretty cute back in the day. I mean, I know it's like a headshot and stuff like that, but she looked kind of attractive.
Wait, how far apart are these photos?
I think like 20 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
She started in the Clinton administration, and then was a senior advisor to Dick Cheney, and then was with Obama, and then Trump kicked her out, and now she's back, and now she's leaving.
Well, anyhow, so I think that was the big news of the week. And Michael, I'm sorry that your prediction didn't turn out like you wanted it to, but we can move on to I guess everyone is talking about I'm sure everyone that's listening certainly watched the State of the Union last night, right? Did y'all watch it?
Yes, I fell asleep towards the end, and then you guys were texting, and so I woke back up. And then I caught like the rest, and then but I kind of towards the end I got real tired. It was just bored.
How come you didn't get on the same cocktail that Biden was on?
He had an IV drip before, I guess. But I watched the rest of it this morning at the gym, and then I watched Katie Britt her response at the gym too.
Wait, you watched the State of the Union at the gym?
Well, at the end when I was in my
you know that we don't pay you to do this show, right?
I needed to see the end anyway.
I guess so. I don't know. That sounds. I mean, I listen to podcasts when I work out, but I don't know if I could watch the State of the Union while I work out.
It was the tail end of it. It wasn't the whole thing, and it was only during the cardio portion of my workout.
So, who did the Republicans' response? I actually did not watch that. Who did that?
Katie Britt from Alabama, senator from Alabama.
Katie Britt, Katie Britt, Katie Boyd Britt. Oh, okay. All right. So she did it. I didn't listen to it at all. How did she do?
Michael, did you listen to it?
No.
It wasn't good. It was weird. It seemed very rehearsed. It seemed very like theater kid kind of thing. Like the way she over enunciated. There were like these long dramatic pauses. It was just overly done.
You called her a theater kid, and then you said that she over enunciated.
That's how we say theater in New Jersey. Okay,
it's called theater, but whatever.
But she just did. It was a lot. I thought the content was all right, but the delivery, which I think is the big thing, didn't go well.
Yeah, I watched Tucker Carlson's response, or at least some of it, and I don't believe that was. I mean, I don't know how he kind of made it seem like he was just gonna, like he played the classic. What's that guy? Fuck it, we're gonna do it live. What was his name? He was a Fox News host, Bill O'Reilly.
Oh,
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. And like sort of playing off that, like fuck it, we'll do it live. We're gonna go right after the speech. We're going to do it on Twitter. We're going to do it on the TCUnetwork.com, whatever the website is. Michael knows. He's a member.
TCN.
What did I say? TCU?
Yeah.
I'm thinking colleges.
Frogs.
And I don't think it was, I mean, it made it kind of seem like he was just going to go off the cuff, and I didn't really see that. I think it was pretty kind of scripted a little bit. And I guess you can write, he's got to have a team of people writing for him while at that old TCN at the Tucker Carlson network. But he had a lot of views. I think he got up to like 1.3 million. I don't think that was all live at the same time, just people that watched it saw it.
What'd you guys think? I didn't watch it.
I didn't either. I mean,
God.
What about the State of the Union itself? I mean, so I would break it out into two things: performance and then content. I thought Biden actually did pretty well, given my expectations were so low of this. I thought he was just going to be bumbling through it. In terms of performance, I thought he did pretty well, at least for the first 75% of it. In terms of content, this was the freaking Oprah Winfrey show of State of the Union addresses. He was like, you get money and you get money and you get, it was just like everything he could think of to throw money at. He was like, oh yeah, you all get money. You all get, it was crazy.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree on the performance part. And I don't know if it's because the bar was on the floor or if it was he did well, because it kind of seemed like the Joe Biden from, I don't know, 15 years ago, where he was kind of quick on his feet and snappy and like able. I mean, not when he was walking down there, but once he got to the podium and started talking, it seemed as though like he had this energy about him that we haven't seen in a long time. I don't know. It was interesting, but I think the bar was on the floor. But I think even given the bar was on the floor, he still did a good job in the performance. And I don't know what they gave him before that, because he's not like that on a regular basis. Like when you watch those question from the White House press room where he takes 10, 15 questions, he's fading by the end of the seventh question. So I don't understand how he got through last night, but I thought it was really interesting.
You understand how he did it. We already talked about it. You know how he did it.
What, Ivy Grip?
They had the right cocktail last night, whatever that was. Two of my other favorite parts of the State of the Union: your congressman, Mr. Green, waving the cane. It was like the old folks home. Biden is 800 and giving the State of the Union, which we'll get into I'll have some comments about the content, but none of it was meaningful or true or doable. And Congressman Green is in the back waving his cane. And then the second thing, Bernie Sanders sitting there with a mask on.
A COVID mask?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Charles, I want to share this. And so I sent this picture to the group and I said, why does he look like this? And what was your response?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't remember what your response was?
I was half asleep.
What did you say? I can try to pull it up.
I said something along the lines of, I think that's what happens to y'all when y'all get old.
Who is y'all?
Us white folk?
I mean, all right, come on. I mean, when you look at it, he just got older, and like black don't crack, it stays intact for a long time, and you sometimes for our fair skinned friends it doesn't work out as well. And
interesting that you want to call us friends now that you see our faces, and you got to say it to our faces. Now we're friends. I see. Okay, interesting.
You just got to moisturize. That's it.
Exactly.
Get some shea butter on it. You know what I mean? So I think for obviously it's, I guess if you know anything about, politics and everything, the whole thing is just one big lie. It's fine, whatever. But I tried to think about it as I'm watching it from the perspective of just, I don't know, a Biden fan or a Democrat or whatever. And from that perspective, I think he actually did I think that type of person would probably have really fucking loved it.
Yeah.
He did he was energetic. He was fucking angry and screaming a lot at random times that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But man, he seemed hyped and he was making a lot of big promises. There's 400. Charles, you're going to love this. Maybe not why he says that he wants to do it, but he said that, let's see, he wants to do, a housing tax credit, $400 per month for 2 years, for the next 2 years. So he's going to make housing more affordable. You're about that, right?
What's $400?
You're a dumb Yimby, right? So you like that.
What's $400 doing?
What?
What's $400 doing in terms of how fast housing costs are going up?
Well, housing price, are they going up? But anyhow, so $400 a month for the next 2 years. That seems great. You're a dumb Yimby. You like that shit. And so where I think he might have lost you, Charles, is he said for people to trade up to get like a better, bigger house. And I think that maybe you got angry when you heard that, and that's when you fell asleep.
That might have been it. That might have been the turning point for me, was when he said that. No, I want people to live where they want to live. That's fine. But giving them $400 a month isn't how you do that. I want to live
in your apartment.
What?
I want to live in your apartment.
Okay, well then we could switch. I can have your house. You can have this apartment. Go for it.
No. I don't want people to live where they want to live.
That's your problem.
No, it's not. That's your problem. You said that you want people to live where they want to live, and I want to live in your apartment.
Not that.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
I have a highlight reel of some things that he said.
I want to live in the penthouse of the W in downtown Austin.
Go for it.
I need your help. I need the government to stand up. Huh?
Ask those coalitions around Austin that be helping people do stuff. Don't ask me.
They do be helping. So, all right, guys, let's get serious. All right, what were the big standout moments for y'all?
Big standout moments for me. I know you said that the regular Biden person, whoever that is, 10% of the country who loves him, who saw that was awesome. I think
it's more than just a regular Biden person. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think it's more. I think that probably some independents, left-leaning independents, probably saw that and thought he seems fine. Like he's energetic. He's jazzed. He's got that riz.
No, I think it definitely quelled some of the concerns about his age and ability to run. But in terms of content, he opened the State of the Union of the United States of America talking about Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a whole show on this last week. Colonel McGregor told us that war is over. What are we talking about Ukraine for? We need to get to the negotiating table and settle that thing. And then second, on the domestic stuff, there's nothing about the endemic corruption of the entire system. There's nothing about the destruction of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. There's nothing about the blatant and obvious lies told to us every single day by the captured media. Nothing about failed decades of interventionism and nation building. Nothing about chronic illness and the food we eat. Nothing about the border. Nothing about fentanyl, human trafficking, the pedophiles in DC. Nothing about the national debt and the crisis we face as the BRICS countries de-dollarize and our national debt explodes. Nothing substantive about the real challenges our country faces. And I'm on a soapbox here, but I know we shouldn't expect that from the president, but those are the real issues our country faces. You want a real State of the Union? I just did it in 5 seconds. Those are the real issues we need to be talking about.
All right.
That's the lead clip of this episode.
Especially the pedophile part, because we got to talk about that more.
Well, I mean, he didn't talk about any of that, but did we expect him to? I mean, do we expect? No. And it's similar to when President Trump's there. Yes, he pushes the barrier a little more and says a few more things that are unconventional or that you shouldn't say, but none of them go all the way there and actually address the stuff that matter to people. But you're right. I mean, we have a lot of issues right now, and particularly even if he touched on none of those, touching on immigration in a more thoughtful and meaningful way would have probably been wise, given where he is in the polls because of it, given where we are in this country because of it. Probably would have been wise to touch on that a little more, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did. You're right, Michael. He did open with talking about Ukraine. He says that Putin will not stop at Ukraine, but Ukraine can stop him. So I don't know how that's working out, but that's what he said. And he had a message for Putin. He says, "We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down." And in a literal sense, history is watching. And then he does. It's a great segue. He does such a masterful job. Goes straight into January 6th. History is watching, just like January 6th. Why are we still talking? Wait, what's the point of bringing that up at this point? What are they going to do about January 6th?
Well, I think we
already have all of this bullshit about January 6th. Why is he still talking about that? Let's ask this guy.
I think he's still talking about it because one of the things is, I mean, the Supreme Court's sitting right there, and the question is going to come to them whether or not the former president, can be held accountable for January 6th. And so he's clearly sending a message to them in the same way that he sent a message when he directly called them out and started yelling at them. So it was a subtle hint, or not hint, subtle message I think he was trying to send. And plus, they're not going to let up off of January 6th. He gives a commemoration speech every year. It's not going anywhere. They're going to keep doing it. Keep memorializing it, if you will.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I presume the reason that he talked about Ukraine and talked about January 6th is because he thinks all Americans have IQs below 40. The level of just lying and deceit, it's so obvious.
Yeah. What is there such thing as a political IQ?
I don't know, but it's the reason that the Congress and the president and the media have such a low approval rating, because we're not, our IQs are not below 40, and we know that you're lying to us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I guess it's going to keep going. I think it's interesting that the Supreme Court's right there, and so he's sort of sending a little message to the Supreme Court. I don't know what they're supposed to do with that information. Is he intimidating them? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, the same way did you guys not see the part where he yelled at them about abortion? Like, yes, I think that's exactly what he was trying to do.
He did bring up abortion. Yeah, he brought up the whole IVF thing, I think, which is in Alabama. Supreme Court said that IVF, I guess that the embryos are human lives, and so you can't do anything with them. So it's caused quite the ruckus. And him bringing, I think that's probably a smart move for him to bring that up, because I think most people think that that's a crazy thing to do, is to stop IVF because you're pro-life. I understand the logic behind it. You think that life begins at conception, and so an embryo is a life, and then you have all these frozen embryos at an IVF clinic. And so I don't think it's like a real logical inconsistency to say, hey, those are lives too. You can't destroy them, right? You have to do something to bring them all to, I don't know, be born, right? I get that, but I think most normal everyday people see the difference between an IVF clinic and an abortion, right? And so it's a crazy thing what's going on in Alabama. I think it's going to really fucking energize a lot of ladies to go out and vote for Democrats or whatever, right? People that they say are going to protect that stuff. He brought Dallas woman Kate Cox to the State of the Union.
We've discussed her on the show.
So Kate Cox, she had to go. I guess she had a dangerous pregnancy that was threatening her life, maybe, and so she had to go out of state to get that abortion correction. What do you want to call it? What do we call that? Is abortion, is that uncouth?
I mean, no, that's what she got.
Okay, so she got that, and he wants to codify Roe v. Wade again, is what he said, into law. Was Roe v. Wade ever codified into law? No. So he wants to do it again, something. I don't know how he does that. But is it about time? Are they going to do it? You think that Congress is actually going to codify Roe v. Wade?
No. Well, if we're talking in practical terms, the Republicans are going to pick up seats in the Senate, and they're going to keep probably the House. So even if they win the presidency, you can't get it done. But are Republicans, this is the one issue that Republicans are really hurting themselves a lot on. So it's smart of him politically to use that as a bludgeon, but he won't do it. Barack Obama said he'd do it. He had a supermajority in the Senate, and I can't remember the year, but he had a supermajority in the Senate, or not a supermajority, a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate. He didn't pass it. So why would Biden, let alone the practical implications of getting that done?
Now, do you think is that all political strategy then? They're just doing it so they have something to run on, as the common saying goes?
Yeah, they're not going to convince people that the economy is good. They're not going to convince people they're acting on the border. So most people don't care about Ukraine. So what are they going to run on? Abortion. And Republicans are going to probably, I wanted to say hang themselves on it, but that's quite drastic. But the Republicans are going to probably hang themselves on the issue.
Well, and I think it's very clear that what he was doing. I mean, you're highlighting Alabama and Texas, so you're essentially sending a subliminal warning to the rest of the country: vote for me, or you're going to end up like Alabama and Texas. And that's what he's trying to do. And for some that works, for others it doesn't. I will say, the Texas law does have an exception for life of the mother. Is it clear? Some say no, but it does have it. And so, even the framing of it from his perspective was wrong. But yeah, I think he's just kind of signaling to these people, like, you don't want to end up like those states, watch out. And so, it might work. I think everything in there was deliberate in an attempt to win over, obviously, the moderates, while keeping together his fragile coalition of progressives who already don't, ride with him as well. And then also maybe some Nikki Haley voters, which I doubt he got, but maybe. I think he's going to try. And so, I don't know, we'll see. But he's still down in every metric. So, I mean, say still, as of yesterday.
Well, I think there's some other key points to his speech that, I don't know how much of this shit he's actually going to try to get done. Is it how much of it, Michael? This may be, a question for both of you, but for some reason I'm leaning towards Michael on this one. But Charles, chime in if you have, if you think that you can, if you want to. What is how much of this is stuff that he's actually going to try to do, like really give a good effort, or how much of it is just, I'm going to say a bunch of nice things that I think people, a bunch of gimme dats. And I'm gonna just make people think that I'm gonna do all this stuff, but I don't have any real intention of doing it.
90-20 or 90-10, sorry. 90-10. 10% he actually will intend to try to do. 90% he's just saying it to get support.
Okay.
And that's not limited to Democrats. I mean, what did McGregor say? Again, McGregor say on the show last year, what were the chants at the Trump rallies? Build the wall and lock her up. Which of those happened? Neither of them.
Neither. No, none happens. Well, I think you're, I don't know. 90-10, that's a shitty ratio, but maybe you're right. He wants to do, like I mentioned, the housing tax credit, which Charles is a big fan of. He wants to cap the prescription drugs cost, not only for Medicare. Medicare is for the old people, or is that for, Medicare or Medicaid? Which one is for old people?
I think CARE is for old people. CAID is for people who are low income or things like that.
So he wants to cap the prescription drug cost per year for those people at $2,000 a year. Big raucous applause. People loved it. Gosh, that whole coalition of people in white. Why were they wearing white, by the way? Why were they doing that? Okay. So cancel that. And he also said that he wants to do that for all Americans. $2,000 a year. Cap your prescription drugs at $2,000 a year. That's how do you do that without just totally screwing over fucking the healthcare system? Not that we have a good one.
Well, I don't know that he necessarily cares.
No.
Do I think he's also going to pursue this, with as much fervor as he's claiming? No. But I don't think he necessarily cares what it does to the healthcare industry or any other auxiliary industry that would be impacted by that. I don't know that that's necessarily a concern, unfortunately.
It's a step toward socialized medicine.
Yeah.
And as we've talked on the show, I'm sympathetic to some of the perverse incentives in the healthcare system. I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. So I'm like,
on the show?
Probably. Maybe it was offline.
I didn't know that you were a Marxist, but go on.
I'm sympathetic to those arguments. I think the incentive system in the healthcare system currently, or the incentives in the healthcare system currently, are to keep people sick, so they keep coming back for drugs.
Yep.
What I would like to see as national policy is a focus on diet and exercise. There's nothing about that getting people off of drugs or the need to use drugs. That is a starting point. We'll never hear that. And what Biden's doing is just moving us, a very sick country, a very overweight country. He's moving us towards a socialized system. So all those pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, doctors get paid all that money.
Yeah.
And nobody gets more healthy.
I think it's called cheddar, not money.
Cheddar.
Get all that cheddar. That's what the kids say, right, Charles?
I can't say I heard that one. It's like 1992, but
yeah. So cool kids. All right. So, I thought that was interesting. We got access to preschool for 3 to 4 year olds. I don't know how that works. I can only imagine that in Texas, since we pay our public schools through property taxes, that our property taxes would then go up to pay for, preschool for 3 to 4 year olds. But then again, that would just create more government schooling for people. So instead of 12 years in government schools, you'd have 13 to 14 years, maybe 15 years in some cases. And even then, after 15 years, right now you have 12 years in government school and you have no marketable skills. You have to go to college if you want a job, they tell you. So you've had our kids for 12 years. They can't get a good job. They're going to go flip burgers at McDonald's. And now for 15 years, is that going to change? Probably not. Right? Do people want their children in a government daycare? Does that sound good?
Some people do. I think most people don't. And there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers at McDonald's. But no, not most people do not want.
There was something wrong with it?
No, but when we when we chalk up a lack of experience to ending up as flipping burgers at McDonald's, it diminishes the work that people who flip burgers at McDonald's do. And so I just wanted to say that there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers at McDonald's because plenty of people do it and survive. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's not part of the conversation. Part of the conversation is, yes, there are some people that will, and they're the people Biden's speaking to, that do want their kids in government school all day, every day, for 18 years of their life. I think most people don't, which is why you see people, even alternative schooling, homeschooling, this, that, the other. But there is a base. I mean, it's the same people who are still wearing masks. Not all. I mean, they don't, not like a 100% overlap, but I'm sure if you had a Venn diagram, it'd be a large overlap.
I will say that as a father, I would be very disappointed if my son grew up to flip burgers at McDonald's. Now, maybe as a summer job 1 year in high school, okay. But yeah, there's a problem with that. If you're an adult and you're flipping, like a capable adult, I'm not talking about someone that has, that like, this is what they're capable of doing. And there's nothing wrong. Like, it's good. I'm glad that they have that job and they're doing something that they're like, that is making money. But in general, I mean, come on. Right? Why? What?
Why would you be disappointed?
If my son grew up to flip burgers at McDonald's,
what's the underlying reason of the disappointment?
Because you're not, because I want my son to be a successful human being. I want him to be better than me. Right. And I want him to do something that provides him with a sense of accomplishment and a sense of he can take care of himself. I want him to, create and add back to society, give something that grows society in a positive direction.
Okay.
Right? Is that weird? Am I being an asshole?
So you're what I'm gathering from that is you don't believe that people, or you don't feel that people because essentially you're not just flipping burgers and McDonald's are providing a food service. And some people love providing a food service. And a lot of people depend on a food service. There are kids in, inner city who get $1 to get to school in the morning, to go to school in the morning, get something to eat. And they stop at the McDonald's every day and grab like whatever's on the dollar menu. And that's what holds them over till lunch when they get that free lunch to be able to learn and do all the things that they do so that they can go off and then go to college and get a great job. And so those people who are flipping burgers, whether it's because they choose to or it's because it's all that they can do, they're providing a service. And many of them, not all of them, I don't even know about most of them, enjoy what they do and find dignity in what they do because they're helping others. And so no matter if it's flipping burgers at McDonald's or if it's, cooking beef at Mastro's, it's the same thing. Like you're still in that same arena. It's just a different place. I think that's like saying you don't want somebody to sell Hondas at a used car dealership, but it's okay if they're selling Porsches. It's kind of the same thing.
Well, I think that you might, so they're providing a service and they think that, and they're happy about it and they're doing something good. Like they're dignified in it, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying there's dignity in all work. Yes. Is
there dignity in sex work? Should I be as a father, should I be proud if my daughter grew up to be an OnlyFans girl? Making a lot of money, providing a service, making guys happy.
Yes, it is providing a service. But the point is that if that is that something you need to be proud of? No, maybe it's not something you need to be proud of because it is. I wouldn't necessarily put that in the same food as a food service, but would I say that if someone is doing that because that's all they can do to provide for their family, and should they be shamed for that if that's what they're doing to survive and that's the way that they find themselves able to make money? Well,
survival. I mean, if it's
that's what a job is. It's survival.
If it's to survive, fine. My son is flipping burgers to survive. Okay, fine. What the fuck am I doing as a father? My son is on the brink of not surviving and I'm making him go flip burgers. Maybe I should step in and do something about it.
A job is survival nonetheless. Whatever you're doing for a job is to survive. It's to sustain yourself and your family. So yes, survival. The word survival might sound dramatic, but you're still feeding yourself and your family, providing housing, a shelter, food, clothes, all these things. So yes, it's survival.
Okay. Well,
anyway. This was a tangent.
You're both right. You're just arguing past each other. But yeah, you're both making good points. You're allowed to be disappointed in whatever your kid does, but you're not responsible for it. He's his own human with his own agency, and you only can influence that. You can't determine the outcome. And if he decides he loves flipping burgers and loves living that lifestyle, he can choose that too. People choose different things. Certain things are important or different things are important to different people.
Yeah.
I think what Charles is saying is in some circumstances, they're doing what they have to do to live, and that there's value in that and there's dignity in that.
Well, I want to hear
it
some
shouldn't
people in
be
the
shamed.
comments. Some people in the comments. Who's right, me or Charles? All right, let's hear it. We got a bunch of new subscribers now. Let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah, and let us know if Brad should run for office. Let us know. I put together a montage of Biden stuff. Can we watch it? It's like 50 seconds.
Close it out with the montage.
Oh no, we have to close it out.
Maybe a montage. Do it. We'll figure it out from there.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? With all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add.
You were on fire.
Nobody's going to talk about cognitive impairment now.
Yeah. You were on fire today.
That wasn't my special video, but that was a different one.
Did he get her name wrong?
Yes.
What did he say? He said Lincoln Park Riley?
Lincoln Riley. It sounds like, and people are saying that they think he mistook the name for the head football coach of the Trojans, whose name is Lincoln Riley.
No one, the fuck? No one knows who that is.
I do.
Wow.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay, look, Michael, no one knows who the head coach of the Trojans is. I know that you're a California liberal, and so you pay attention to that stuff. What?
I'm a California liberal.
Yeah, seriously.
You're from California. You know I'm joking. You're from California, though, and you're a fan of California sports teams. So, yeah, it makes sense that you would know the Trojans head coach. Maybe you're a fan of the Trojans. I don't know. But then, you could – I have no idea who the hell that is. I couldn't pick him up out of a lineup. No one else can.
First of all, I'm from San Francisco, so I hate all LA teams. First of all.
Tell him.
Okay.
Secondly, he was the coach of Oklahoma forever. From I don't know. Anyways,
Clock it.
Boo Dodgers, go Giants. Let's go.
Well, there is quite the hubbub about the fact that he said, not because he said her name wrong or anything like that, but because he said illegal. We got Congressman Chuy Garcia is saying, as a proud immigrant, I'm extremely disappointed to hear President Biden use the word illegal. So I think Greg Casar even chimed in at some point saying,
I think Ilhan Omar said something too.
well, so what does that do? What is it? Is that good or bad for him that he said illegal?
Bad. I mean, I think that because this is the same portion of people who don't want to call people homeless anymore. They want to call them what's the phrase?
Unhoused,
or you don't want to call people offenders. You want to call them like criminal justice involved or like what? I mean, you can't use that group. Does not allow you to use the word illegal. And so for him to just say illegal, yeah, they find it offensive, and so that's why these congressmen are calling him out. I don't think he's wrong. Like, I think that's a perfectly fine thing he would say. But when I heard him say it, my ears did perk up because as a Democrat, I don't know that I've ever heard him say, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't talk that way. And so it was kind of weird. And I think it was just like a slip. I don't think it was intentional either.
You mean the 800-year-old president of ours slipped up with his words? I think it hurts him with the progressives, but they're already mad at him about Israel-Palestine. So this will just cement that level of distrust and dislike amongst the blue hairs.
Charles, you brought up criminal justice reform, and that reminds me I have a story to tell. But I don't know if there's more about the State of the Union that we want to talk about. Anything else? Tucker Carlson said that they will steal the election. They will do it.
So that means if Trump wins, they stole the election. Or is it only if Trump loses that they stole the election?
Well, did he say steal the election? I don't know. He said that they will cheat, that there will be election fraud, right? And it all revolves around the fact that they're trying to outlaw voter ID, as much as they can. And you need an ID to do everything, get a credit card, yada, 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 but except for voting. And they're doing that because they know that Trump is beating Biden in the polls. And so they want to outlaw this stuff, and they're going to use it to cheat, is what Tucker Carlson says. And that's kind of a big deal when someone of Tucker Carlson's audience size says something like that. Yeah? If they do steal it, if he thinks that they stole it, whether they did or didn't, but if he thinks that they did, is he going to call on people to start another civil war again?
Well, like he did with the border, he's going to be like, "Where are the men? Stand up and get guns," and not do anything as he does that presentation from Cape Cod. So I think that, I don't know.
Well, Cape Cod is as good a place as any to, have the headquarters of the resistance. Yeah.
My perspective of the election cheating or whatever, rigging the election, we've had intelligence agencies and State Department and departments of the federal agencies running around the world fixing elections for the last 50 years. You don't think they've turned that in? You're greatly mistaken. Does it affect outcomes? I don't know, but the idea that they're trying to cheat on elections in the United States of America is not a shocking claim to me.
Well, I agree. And elections, there's always election fraud to some degree. Like, it's a human system that people are involved in. Like, there's going to be some fraud. Yeah. Last week in our elections, the district attorney went to go vote for herself, and she couldn't vote because someone had already voted under her name. And then they ended up finding out that it was actually her wife last week. And then they were like, well, how did that happen? And so like, there's always going to be something. Does it rise to the level of stealing an election is the question, and some people will automatically assume yes every time.
Well, I guess since I'll tell my little story about the criminal justice reform. So we had obviously the primaries this past week, and I think we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll do some potpourri first, but before we get into that, here in Travis County, there was what I thought was a bigger effort to get Jose Garza, our current Soros-funded DA. Got to say that out loud for the YouTube algorithm. Our Soros-funded DA, Jose Garza, wanted to get him out. We had Jeremy Celestine, who is a moderate Democrat, whatever that means, going against him. Lots of money. Outraised Jose Garza, but it was from Republicans or some Republicans. I don't know. Whatever. Oh. And that was a big news story. People came out of the woodworks. That story never died. Jeremy Celestine is funded by conservatives, by MAGA conservatives, Republicans, the devil, right? And if Greg Casar was posting almost like every few days on social media, go out and vote for Jose Garza. People were fucking, it seemed like they were scared. There was what I thought was a big movement of Republicans voting in the Democrat primary. Because here in Texas, you can go and you can say, hey, I'm here to vote. Well, which primary are you voting in? You can say Democrat. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or not. And you can vote. And that's what I did. Thinking I was going to do my part. Thinking that voting mattered. Right? So I go in there. I don't know who else to vote. I don't know anything else about what judges or whatever. I don't know who's better or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to do. So I vote for Jeremy Celestine. Spoiler, he loses big time. Michael feels
obvious,
vindicated. But I also, neither one of my choices won. I voted for the Travis County DA. I also voted for president, and my presidential pick did not win.
Who was it?
Who did I vote for in the Democrat presidential primary?
Marianne Williamson.
I was going to say that too.
Crystals. Yes.
Crystal lady. She didn't win. Apparently, I'm not good at picking Democrat politicians.
You know who else has their own Soros-funded DA now? The city of Houston, or the county of Houston, I guess.
Harris County?
Harris County. Yeah.
Well, opposite to your DA race, where your DA was running attacks on his primary opponent, saying that he was funded by Republicans. Our Democratic DA chose to run attack ads against her Democratic primary opponent, saying that he was funded by George Soros, and then she lost by 50 points. And so, that was to me the dumbest thing in the world. I mean, the race was bad from the start. He had a lot of institutional Democratic support and stuff like that, and Soros funding. But towards the end of the race, I mean, I guess out of pure desperation, she started running attack ads saying he's Soros funded, bought and paid for. And I'm like, I don't think Democrats get upset about that. And so it looked like they probably retaliated against her. And she lost by 50 points.
Well, it's anti-Semitic to say that George Soros is funding somebody. So you can't do that.
Yeah, we had a 40-point victory for the Soros-funded DA here, who did not. He raised 1/7 of the money and spent 1/7 of the. It was. I'm not vindicated. Well, I am, because I told everybody that asked me, "Is Celestine going to win?" I said no.
You also said it on the show.
I said it on the show. I tweeted about it before in January. Like it's just obvious. You're trying to message a crime is super bad to the 6% of the population who shows up to Democratic primaries. That's never going to land with them ever. Plus, all the institutional support was with Garza. All the party, all the groups, all the Democratic influencers. A vast majority of it was with Garza.
There's one that did not.
One what?
One person from the establishment, the Democrat establishment, that did not come out and support Garza.
Oh yes, I owe you $100. Kirk Watson.
Fuck yeah. Anyhow,
Kirk, who's it?
Well, huh?
The mayor.
No, I'm kidding. Oh, okay. Yes, got it.
No.
Well, we can ride that through the election and see what happens.
No.
Do you guys have a Republican on me? I mean, obviously not going to win.
Daniel Betts.
Yep.
Smart guy. Good
Super
dude,
smart.
but he's not. That's a tough battle for him.
Yeah,
all right. Do y'all want to do potpourri and then talk about primaries or something else?
I mean, if we're leaving the State of the Union for good, can we watch the video that I actually made about the State of the Union?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I made that one too, but my real video,
Yeah.
it's a little longer than the last, but I put in a lot of work.
Let's watch it. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Good evening, America. First off, I just want to say how excited I am to be in front of both the liberal elite media as well as the liberal regular media. My husband, Wesley, and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address. And you can tell he's angry by the way he sighs and grits his teeth, and he's always going like, grah! President Biden just doesn't get it. He makes John McCain sound like a garbage truck unloading trash at a landfill. I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this one.
I'll set the table. I made the dinner because apparently I do everything around here because I'm your slave, Roy!
We're all worried about the future of our nation.
When we educate ourselves, we become educated.
True, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this.
Every morning when Alaskans wake up, one of the first things they do is look outside to see if there are any Russians hanging around. If there are, you got to go up to them and ask, what are you doing here? And if they can give you a good reason, then it's our responsibility to say, shoo, get back over there.
Our country can do better.
Oh, hey, sure.
Together, we can reawaken the heroic spirit of a great nation.
New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Delaware, California. Then also, too, you have states like Ohio and Pennsylvania and Florida, which could be real anti-American or real pro-American. It's up to them. And now I'd like to entertain everybody with some fancy pageant walking.
That's good.
You did put a lot of work into that.
When I watched her response last night, I was like, this seems like an SNL skit, and it very much was. It was just a bunch of Sarah Palin ones put together. So,
what was the sitcom that you pulled a clip from?
I think that was Mad TV. It was an episode of Mad TV, which I haven't seen in like 30 years.
Yeah, well, because Mad TV was good. That shit was really good.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, what's next?
I mean, I didn't know. I didn't watch it at all. She did not sound good. It was not. It's weird.
Yeah. If you watch the whole thing, I mean, it really does seem as though she got this script, she practiced it, she like did the inflection where she was told to, and it just comes across as so rehearsed. It's very strange.
Was she trying to act like she was about to cry?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes.
So dumb. No, I mean, who's crying about this?
I think she was trying to appeal. I think they thought this was going to appeal to suburban moms. Like, hey, come sit at my kitchen table and let me tell you how bad things are. But it was just strange, I think.
What about suburban dads? What do they want to see? Maybe appeal to them next time. You know what I mean? Huh? All right. Y'all want to do some potpourri?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have, I thought this was, I didn't think it was real when I first saw it. By the way, potpourri, for those that are new, potpourri, we try to, in the middle of the show, something to clear the air a little bit, because talking about politics can be fucking lame sometimes. So something that's interesting that's going on that's not political. And I saw this and I thought, God, this is got to be not real. But it turns out it is real. Jake Paul is scheduled to fight Mike Tyson in a boxing match, I think in Arlington, Texas.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if people know who Mike Tyson is, but he's a monster. Everyone, he still is a monster. And I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way. I mean that in the boxing ring, the guy is a monster. He really enjoys beating the shit out of people in a boxing ring. And I want to show this video. Why isn't this working? There we go. No, don't start going. Just pause that real quick. Let me zoom in. And I want you to focus on his blue shorts. Okay? Focus on his blue shorts. So he's beating the shit out of somebody. He is excited. He is excited. And this person says, even at 57, I'm not sure if Jake Paul has reflected fully that Mike Tyson gets boners when thinking about hurting someone.
Oh, Mike Tyson's gonna kill this guy.
It's crazy. If you just go back and watch some of the old footage of Mike Tyson just training and in the boxing ring, it's a nightmare. Maybe because of his age, he's 57. All right, maybe Jake Paul stands a little bit of a chance. All right, Jake Paul is young. He is actually, I think, a pretty good boxer. Maybe he stands a chance. I don't know, but it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only chance I can see, and I'm not a boxing expert, but Jake Paul's got to like avoid a knockout blow and go the full distance. That's probably because what was Tyson's last fight? I watched it. He kind of got wore down as the rounds went on. So I think the only chance Paul has is to just stretch the thing out and like not get one of those boners in the face.
Well, I think for someone like him who is not a storied or longtime boxer as Mike Tyson is, if he does not get knocked out, that's like he can claim not victory, obviously, but I think he'll get some credibility. But if he's knocked out, I think it's a different story. But I don't know if I were Jake Paul, would I do this? Like, I don't know, probably not. I mean, maybe his skill is far beyond what we know, but
he's getting paid coins.
Got Jake Paul training on the top and Mike Tyson training on the bottom.
Is that Mike Tyson training for this fight? I hope not.
I'm taking
Jake
Tyson.
Die.
Yeah.
I think Jake Paul's about to die. I mean, it's just Tyson. Like, Jake Paul, I don't know his full backstory. Something tells me he probably grew up at least somewhat comfortable, right? Probably fine. I think when his brother came to fame on YouTube, made a bunch of money when they were young. And props to him for all of his success in boxing so far. I think that he's actually pretty good, is my understanding. But Mike Tyson had a different upbringing and apparently loves to just fucking destroy people. Like, it finds joy in it almost, right? As we saw. I think Jake Paul's in for a whooping.
Yeah.
I'd put money on it.
I'm going to watch it.
You want to put money on it?
We should have a boxing match of the three of us and see who wins.
What does that mean? A round robin or three, like everyone in the ring at the same time?
Free for all.
What's the strategy here? Is that you just let how did that work? How did you do a three-way free for all?
You go in,
Charles.
last man standing wins.
I know,
Charles,
but like, what do you?
Charles, let's team up on Brad, and then we'll fight. At the end.
Exactly.
I will.
Done.
That's what I knew was going to happen.
You're gonna go and step in the ring and get it from both sides.
Watch your language. All right, so we got Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. They're it's July 20th, and I believe it's in Arlington. So
we should get tickets and broadcast live from there.
Okay.
Nobody likes that idea.
No, I'm not sure. Why not? I don't know how we broadcast live, but we could do it. Figure it out.
You can put in a media request with Boxers United or whatever it's called.
Not if you call them Boxers United, and that's not what they're called. Not getting shit from them. Okay, so what are we talking about now? We're going back to what, primaries? Yes?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
We don't have too much time, but yeah.
Okay, well, what do y'all think about the primaries? Just wrap it up.
They were crazy.
They were crazy.
Michael, you go first. I truly really want to hear we haven't had a chance to break it down. I want to hear your analysis of it.
Yeah, I mean, nationally, there wasn't a lot to be said. Trump, I mean, there's a signal there. The Republican Party is fully, if we didn't know this already, the Republican Party is fully behind MAGA at this point. There's 10 to 20% who still want to be the George Bush party. And then as we take that down a level, that's what we're seeing in Texas. It was crazy here in Texas. I don't know how many incumbents lost, but quite a few. But here's what my big takeaways is we have a major shift in the Republican Party happening. You have establishmentarian Governor Greg Abbott teaming up with some of the most conservative groups in Texas and donors in Texas to take out establishment Republicans in the House, where Abbott and Paxton teamed up. I'm talking about Janice Holt, Mike Alcott, Hillary Hicklin, those types. They went 10-2 against incumbents and are going into 2 runoffs. So they could go 12-2 here, taking out House members. Abbott, after all the border stuff, Abbott really solidified his popularity. And Paxton kind of, I don't know, didn't make as many gains because where they went heads up, Abbott was 18-2 with 6 runoffs when Abbott was endorsing one candidate and Paxton was endorsing another. The caveat there, Abbott endorsed incumbents in 21 races and Paxton was endorsing challengers, so he had that advantage. But Paxton alone, people are looking at his record. I think it was 15-23 in primaries here. Dude, Paxton, when Abbott was not in the race, went 3-3, and he forced the Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, to a runoff. Crazy.
I mean, Dade Phelan, I mean, I guess, Twitter is not the real world, obviously. We know that from our local DA race. But, I mean, isn't Phelan not that popular among, Republicans? Just voters? Doesn't it seem like people don't like him for doing stuff like giving Democrats chairs and, other stuff?
Well, I think that exists, but I think you also would expect with him being the speaker. I mean, he went into that race with, all lobbyists and otherwise wanting to contribute to that race and obviously keep his power because they have good relationships with him, and same for other members, maybe ones who didn't have elections who were trying to help out. So, I mean, you would just assume that there was a heavy consolidation of of resources to attempt to save him. And so for him to get pulled into that, I think it just says a lot about his status and where people do feel about him. But yeah, so I mean, I guess ultimately your point's correct, is that people don't feel as good about him as maybe he feels about himself. I don't know.
Yeah, but we had Lowy on the show, and I can't remember what episode it was, but he was like, no chance, right? I think that was the view of a lot of people, because Phelan is such a well-known name in the district and has long history, and then he has all the donor support and all the lobby support, and Covey he's going to win. I mean, well, anything can happen, but all the momentum's in his favor, all the energy's in his favor. Like, he's probably going to win that race. And Paxton, I mean, prior to this cycle, seeing the Abbott wing and the Dunn, the Dunn Wilkes wing team up would be unheard of. And now they're teaming up. I think that's a signal that Abbott recognizes that the more conservative kind of MAGA of Texas, although Texas MAGA is different than national MAGA, he recognizes the power of them. And I think we see it in the results in these elections. And I think they might take out the Speaker of the House. And then there's going to be a big fight, instead of the Republican Party coming together and being like, okay, what are our priorities? What are we going to agree is going to get done? Instead of doing that, they're going to fight over who the next speaker is. And we'll go through this whole cycle again of the speaker is not conservative enough. And then there's another primary, and then they keep moving him to the right.
Is Dade Phelan going to lose the runoff?
Yes.
I would probably put money on yes. I mean, I think for all the reasons Michael said, and then, runoffs just generally, I think, would favor a more conservative challenger, or a conservative candidate. And I mean, come on, you got the former president endorsing against you. You got the lieutenant governor. You've got all the kind of grassroots activist groups. You've got who else? There's another big one that was against him. I can't.
Paxton.
Oh yeah, Paxton. Yeah. I mean, you're in if there's a worse position to be in, I don't know what it really what it would be. Like, I don't know.
If Abbott jumps in.
Yeah, yes. If that happens, I mean, listen, it's a really bad position to be in as an incumbent, as the speaker of your chamber. I mean, gosh, that's just. But there you are. There you find yourself.
But the races that Charles and I were most interested in, I think they went 4-0. Correct? 3-0. Troxclair, Kane, Hull,
yes.
Deala went 4-0.
Yeah. Kane too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Congrats, guys. Huh?
No, I wasn't working on
anything.
No, you did something. You analyzed correctly, right? Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't it give you some? It's not Mike Tyson and the boxing ring feel good, but maybe it feels good still.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens here in the next session. Who becomes the speaker, and then which of those conservative priorities that didn't get done are going to have to get done now, whether it's Democrat chairs or banning taxpayer-funded lobbying, or obviously school choice. There's a significant shift in the House, is what I'll say.
Scott Braddock, better watch out. Here comes school choice. Well,
and it's hard to make excuses now. I mean, as you continuously get more conservative, then what becomes your excuse? You got to run out of them. So whoever runs for it to be next speaker needs to probably understand that excuses aren't going to be as accepted as they maybe once were.
They got the votes. Well, there's 6 runoffs in the school choice fight. They have to win 2, and they have the votes.
All right. There we go. School choice in Texas. Corey DeAngelis, when he says it's happening, will finally be correct. So good for him. He's the biggest winner of them all. Is that it, guys? Anything else you wanted to say? No? Nothing?
Yeah,
all right. Well, for all the listeners, new and old, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back again next week. I don't know if we'll have a guest next week or not, but we try to get guests every once in a while. Maybe every other week is sort of the goal, but it doesn't always work out that way. Charles Blain to my top left, follow him. Michael Searle to my top right, follow him. And of course, me, Brad Swail. If you follow anybody, follow me. That's the most important one. And like and subscribe. All of those buttons are down there. Turn on notifications. Do all of that stuff and comment who is more correct, me or Charles. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep talking before Charles gets a chance to say anything. And goodbye. Stop recording.